Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Outside. Today what I want to do in this little vest pocket video is to talk about, when we talk about, well, these guys are really great, and so what have they done? What makes them special? When we talk about independent watchmakers, and there are a lot of them, but I took three. They're all very different, and yet they've done some amazing things for mechanical watches. Now, the first one that most of you have heard of is George Daniels, but if you ask somebody, well, what has he done? Most people know that he did the coaxial escapement. But I think equally important what he has done were two books. One is Watchmaking, which I'm fortunate enough to have, and it's a great reference book. You can look up just about anything about watchmaking. The other one is The Art of Breguet, which was, I believe, F.P. Journe's go-to book for developing watches, making watches, and his whole set of watches that had the Breguet influence on it. So he was sort of, George Daniels was Breguet's channeler in certain respects. He also won a special prize in 2016 that recognized him through the George Daniels Educational Trust. He died in 2011, so he just made it into sort of what we'll call the modern watchmakers. Now, the next one is Philippe Dufour, and Philippe Dufour, people know of Philippe Dufour for things like the simplicity and the duality, two of his major watches. But so what about those watches? Well, one of the things, the duality, had a differential called, and this is a little picture there of the drawing of it, and it helps reduce positional variation of the balance. Something like the double hairsprings on the Moser, on the H. Moser. There's another thing too he got a lot of credit for. By the way, too, that watches picture of the simplicity. There's a lot of stuff that he did with Seiko, and I think what was recognized, he wanted the Swiss to wake up to the fact that the Japanese and the Germans, as a matter of fact, when asked what he thought was the best watch for someone to get under $10,000, he said Nomos. So it's like a really interesting person, very much of an independent. And again, he got a special jury prize also for a lifelong contribution. And he's one of these guys. He's a buddy with Daniel Roth. Now, the final one I want to talk about is Sven Anderson, and I want to talk about him for a couple of reasons. First of all, he established the AHCI. Now, this was the Academy, the Horological Academy for Creative Independence, and he and a guy named Calabresi, I believe, had founded this back in 1985, and what they required was that all members have built their own movement. And so when you see someone who gets into full membership in the AHCI, they've all made their own movements. Currently, Marco Lang is the president of AHCI, and of course, Marco Lang he just makes them sort of like all the time. He's got about 6 or 7 different movements. He's restarted a new company called Marco Lang Watches, so that's going to be an exciting thing to see. Now, the thing about Sven Anderson that I like, and especially for collectors, with relatively affordable, and then he's got some plenty that are unaffordable. He had made one called the 1884 World Timer Sir Sanford Fleming. Now, this watch was for creating the time zones. He was the creator of the time zones, and he had this 1884 World Timer for it. With you can see the movement there that he made for it. Now, the interesting thing about this, he had another one called and it's called the Anderson Geneve, which is sort of the corporate name of that. He's got there's somebody else's heads up Anderson Geneve. He has some CEO running the business part, and he's semi-retired right now. He's about 78 years old, so he's you know, getting up there. Anyway, he has this one called the Anderson Geneve Christopher Columbus World Timer. Now, I found this on Chrono 24 for 5801. Now, I know that's not, it's not dirt cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not up there with these, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 watches. And he has quite a few like that. So this is I think Sven Anderson, a lot of people know him. He's the guy that makes erotic watches. Yeah, he did that too in the Automata, which is very interesting part of those. But he did much more, and I think the most important, significant contribution was the starting up the Academy, the Horological Academy of Creative Independence with Calabasas. Anyway, well, listen, this is when we're thinking of independent watchmakers, we've got to ask ourselves, what do they do? And the three that I just had there did plenty. And if we look at others, especially members of the AHCI, we'll find a great deal of talent that some of us may want to collect. Love to hear your opinion. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. And this is an invitation to subscribe if you'd like.